Hello, good people. I'm sure you are doing great. Welcome once again to my pt2. As we started talking about types of marriage, we continue to look at the other side. I am your counselor JK. Welcome once again to my pt2. Now, as we said the other time, there are three kinds or types of marriages that we know in Ghana. And I mentioned the customary marriage or marriage, the traditional marriage. And then again, I mentioned the Mohammedan marriage or marriage under the Mohammedan law. And then it's the same as Islamic marriage. And then we'll talk of the customary marriage or the traditional, the ordinance marriage. That is the court one, or the one that we mostly see in churches. So last week we talked about the customary or the traditional marriage, and we saw the basis. And we said that the customary marriage or the traditional marriage, it's also accepted as a form of marriage in Ghana. It's accepted in Ghana as a form of marriage. And we saw that it is monogamous, meaning the man can marry more than one. And then we saw the traditional performance or traditional rite that is performed. The will-be husband pays the bride price of the woman, and then the other customary things are performed, and the woman becomes his wife. That is one aspect of it. That's the first one that we know. And as I said, I told you the other time, we should not mistakenly refer to that one as engagement. That one is not an engagement. It is full marriage. It is pure marriage, which is accepted by the laws of Ghana. And I said that if you do that type of marriage, if you like, you can go to the registrar of marriages, or you can go to the court and register your marriage for especially for the security of the women, so that at the end or in future when the man is not there, so that the family members of the man will not come and say, oh, we don't know you, that sort of thing. That's why you can register. Now let's go to the second aspect, the other type of marriage that I want to talk about. That is the ordinance, or the marriage under the ordinance, or better so they call it Marriage Act 127. Marriage Act 127. And this act is one man, one wife. One man, one wife. The man cannot marry more than one. If you marry and you are found to getting married again, the laws of the state will catch up on you. And that is what they call bigamy. You will not be spared for marrying two under the Marriage Act Cap 127. That is a marriage under the ordinance. And it's the same one, or it's the same type that is mostly seen in churches. Okay, so today we are just putting all together to discuss it. Now, with the ordinance marriage, now if you are not affiliated to any church, if you don't want the church one, if you are not a Christian and you are not a Muslim, where you can't do it as Christian church, as Islamic marriage, and you want to do that straight away at the court, it is permitted. If you want to do that from the register of marriages, it's also done. But what you need to do is that, having seen the woman, talked about your marriage plan, and the woman has agreed, at this part of our world, you basically need to see the family of the woman to do the traditional marriage first. So somebody said that Ghanaians, we marry double. Yes, you may say so, but since every person is from a family, a man cannot just go and pick a woman, I just want to marry you, you take the woman away, without, so to speak, the knowledge of the woman's or the girl to be married family. That one, I don't think any family in Ghana, this part of our world, will accept that fact that somebody goes to marry their daughter without performing the customary rite. So you have to do the traditional marriage, everything at home. Sometimes you do it concurrently, but you should know that the traditional marriage thing should be done. And then the will-be couples, they will go to the marriage registrar, the courts or the district assemblies, where they have the marriage officer there. So you go and register, you go and you show your intention, or you let them know your intention to marry, and then they will take your name, your residence, your profession, one or two things about you, about both the man and the woman. Maybe one person can go, especially the men, they go, then they do that sort of registration. Now, when they do, then they will file your intention to marry. The notice of marriage will be posted on their notice board for 21 days. This 21 days period, as they are publishing, just to make sure none of the parties are married already. So that at least when somebody sees that, oh, he's my husband and he's going to marry again, then maybe the person may be able to raise caveat against it, or maybe go to the registrar of marriages and stop the marriage. So the information will be there for 21 days. Then, after the 21 days, a date is fixed for the couples to go to the marriage registrar's office, who administer the marriage. They will say their vows, and then they will sign the marriage register, and then they need witnesses from the boys or the man's family and the woman's family. Some places they will say 2 witnesses each. There are some places they say 1 each from each side. So you need those witnesses. And these witnesses are family members. Obviously, if your daughter is going to marry, you will not let anybody go and witness. And before that witness will come and agree that you register the marriage, meaning you've come home to perform the customary rites already. And then the marriage registrar will do the necessary documentation, and then he administers the marriage oath, and then you have your wife. But take note, After that, the law says that for the marriage to be complete, there should be consummation of marriage. The consummation means it's like the final seal. That's where you and your woman, you go home and then you have sex with your partner to finalize the marriage. Note that such marriages is done in a registered place. That's why I said Registrar of Marriages Office. That place is gazetted for marriages. Marriages should be done during the weekdays, not holidays. Yes, Saturday is part of working day in Ghana here. So Sunday is seen as a holiday in Ghana here. Other public holidays are also holidays. So legally, holidays and Sunday, you can't register marriage. It makes the marriage null and void. So remember the day and the place. And then the person who has authority to perform the rite, the person who has the authority to lead you to swear the oath of marriage or to sort of do the marriage officer should be somebody who has also been gazetted by the state. The state has given that person authority to perform that marriage. So that is a court one. That one, we don't have serious challenge with it. But when it comes to the church one, now let me say it here again and clear that it is not every church premises that legal marriage can be contracted or can be done. The churches which has been registered as a place of marriage by a registrar general, by the laws of Ghana, these areas or these churches have been gazetted, have been registered as a place where marriage can be contracted or can be done. And then the pastor in charge or the reverend minister in charge, take note that it is not every reverend minister who has been gazetted by the state to perform or to officiate the marriage. You should take note of that one also. So, let's say a church like the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, the Methodist Church, the Catholic Church, the Assemblies of God, the Pentecost, at least these are the churches that I have spoken with and I know what I'm talking about. The churches, if it is at the initial stage, what they call the preaching post or the preaching point, they can. But when the church grows up to a certain point, then the church authority will register the chapel. I'm talking of the venue. Register the venue as a place that they can officiate marriages. And then the pastor in charge is also gazetted. So a church like Presbyterian Church of Ghana, after your probation, all the pastors, the church does it for them. They are all registered by the Registrar General's Department. They are gazetted as marriage officers. Okay, so if you are performing your marriage in these churches, like Presbyterian Church, like the Methodist, like the Catholic, like the Assemblies of God, Pentecost, all these churches, the reverend ministers, I'm not talking of the associate ministers, the reverend ministers are all gazetted as marriage officers. So if the place is registered, the chapel is registered for marriage, and the pastor there is also registered for marriage, it means marriage can take place there. And sometimes some people say, oh, as for us, we will do our marriage on Sunday. Legally, Sunday, you can't sign marriage register or marriage certificate. Probably some of them, they will go to court on Saturday or Friday, do the legal one, and the church will do their blessing and things on Sunday. That's a different thing. But when you're talking of legal issues, Sunday and holidays are not days that you can officiate, or you can contract, or you can register marriage. So we should take note of that. And then, so as I said, there are pastors or there are reverend ministers who have been registered and gazetted as marriage officers. And there are some chapels that has been registered. They look at some facility in the chapel. You can't just have some 2x4 structure and then you can call that place as a place that you can marry. No. So a church like Presbyterian church like this, where they call the preaching point, the upcoming churches where the structure has not been registered for marriage. If there's going to be a marriage ceremony, if somebody is going to marry from those smaller congregations where they've not registered, they will rather shift the venue to the district head or a bigger chapel of the Presbyterian church, which is close by, so that they will perform the marriage there. You may have a reverend minister in a chapel that has not been registered. So the pastor can do the marriage, but the chapel is not registered. Meaning it means that the reverend minister has to go to a sister church where the chapel is registered. And with that Osofo who has been gazetted to perform the marriage, then Osofo will also do it there to make it legal. Now, with the church, it is the same certificate that is signed at the marriage registrar's place. Is the same register certificate that is sent to the church to sign. So at the end of the week, when the marriage is done, at the end of the week, the counterfoil of the marriage certificate is taken back to the marriage officer's place, to the registrar of marriages office or the district assembly or the court. The certificate, the counterfoil certificate is taken back to them for them to record it in the state annals. So that is that about the church. Now, if you would like to do your marriage in the church, the Christian way, you still have to go to the district assembly or the marriage registrar's office. Then they will give you a temporary certificate or license to marry. Okay, so that one you also go, they write your name, the girl's name, your residential address, whether you're a bachelor or whatever they take, and then they will post it at their office again for 21 days. After the 21 days, now they will give you the license to marry. So it is that license to marry that you take to your church. Then based on that, the church will make announcements. And the announcement should be made in a language that the attendees of the church or the members of the congregation will understand. So let's say a place like Accra, typical Accra, where we may speak English, Ga and Twi. Basically, I know Accra, these are the main languages spoken there. So if it's in a church, the announcement should be, that's what we call banns of marriage, BANNS, banns of marriage. So the banns of marriage will be made in the chapel for 3 times in the language that people who attend the church understand. So English, Ga, and Twi, depend on where the church is located. So the marriage registrar or the district assembly officer in charge of marriages will issue the license to marry. Then with that license, you take it to your church, then the church will announce it. It should be 3 times. then the following time the marriage can actually go on. And now, maybe next week we'll talk about the mode of counseling that the churches they go through and what they required of the couples before the marriage actually is contracted. So I have said that the marriage under the ordinance or the church one, the certificate that they sign is the same at the court or the district assembly, and the church is the same. And I said that if you want to marry in the church, you first of all need to go to the marriage offices or in the district assemblies, and then they will register you. And then after 21 days, when they do it, they will paste it on their notice board for 21 days to see if somebody may raise objection. Maybe one of the parties is married already and is running away from the spouse to marry again. So you post it there for 21 days. And then they will give you license to marry. And it is this license that you take to the church where you do your church marriage. Then you do it there. And I said that if you don't want to do it at church, you can straight away, after the 21 days, the marriage officer at the district assembly or the courts, they will officiate the marriage. You have your wife, you have your husband, and you go. But with the church one, when you bring the certificate, the church have to announce it 3 times in the language that the people understand. And then a date is fixed. Before this, the couples would have gone through counseling. We'll look at the counseling next week. We'll look at the counseling and what goes through over there. So, and I said that marriage, proper marriage, legally, is not done on holidays. And it's not done on Sundays. In Ghana here, it is from Monday to Saturday that it is done. When you see somebody doing church marriage on Sunday or holiday, probably they've married already, they've done it at the court, and they are just coming to church for the church wedding or the church blessing, which that one they are not going to sign any legal certificate. So you should take note. And then the time of the day is between the hours of 8 and then 6. We don't contract marriage in the night. No, legally it is not accepted in Ghana here. And then I also talk of the venues. You can't just, somebody can decide to go to a beach or a park to contract marriage. Yes, I know there are some places they've gazetted that place as a place of marriage. I once went to La Beach Hotel and I saw a notice pasted there that the venue is gazetted and registered for marriage. So when somebody is doing his or her marriage there, the marriage officer can come there and perform the marriage there for the person. So the building and its surroundings, including the shore, everything is registered. Okay. So when you see somebody doing his marriage there, don't think you can also go to any beach or any seashore, any park or any gardens to do it. You must find out whether that venue has been registered, gazetted for marriages. Otherwise, in future, when somebody should raise an objection, your marriage will be seen as null and void. And then when the Osofo or the Reverend Minister, I'm talking of the church, Reverend Minister blesses the marriage, and then you go and sign the marriage certificate. In churches, especially the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, there are 2 people from each side who are witnesses. So the man will bring 2 people, the girl will bring 2 people to sign as witnesses. And here, mostly, it's the parents, the immediate, the mother and the fathers mostly do it, or an uncle or an auntie. Mostly it's close relatives who will do that marriage, who be witnesses of the marriage. Then the reverend minister who officiated the marriage will also sign, and then sometimes an elder or a presbyter of the church also counter sign, and then you get your certificate. You come to church, we will look at the church one. And in fact, after signing of the register, after the signing of the certificate and the certificate handed to you, you are pronounced man and a wife, or man, the couples, freshest couples, as they used to say. This is the marriage. The after party, the whatever, does not actually legally add anything to the marriage. It doesn't add anything. Now, for the marriage to be fully complete and sealed, there should be consummation. I've told you of consummation. Until you have intercourse with your wife, the marriage is not sealed yet. So you do that to seal the marriage, to stamp it. That is what we call consummation. So consummation actually finalizes the marriage. We will end it here. Next week, God's willing, we'll continue on this part and see how it is done in the churches. Stay tuned. We'll also look at the Islamic aspect or point in marriage. We will visit one of the imams to educate us on how the Islamic marriage is also contracted. Thank you for staying put. I am your Counsellor JK. Thank you for watching my pt2. Bye-bye.